So this is Tombstone as it is today.
Welcome to our new adventure in Tombstone, Arizona. This Wild West town was founded in 1879 when silver was discovered in the area. The town quickly grew and became notorious for its saloons, gambling and dance halls, and the colorful characters that passed through trying to make their fortunes. Come along as we stroll along historic Allen Street, tour the Tombstone Courthouse, and visit the final resting place of many of Tombstone's outlaws in the Boot Hill Graveyard.
We're outside of the OK Corral. We're outside the courthouse here in Tombstone, which was built in 1882. It's one of the rare original buildings that didn't get burned down and is part of the history here. This back room here was an addition in 1903 and was added on to the original courthouse. And it was, if you look at the floor, they had 16 jail cells here, and I think this might be one of the originals, but they had 16 jail cells in here that held the prisoners and before the county seat was moved. It's pretty neat to see the history here, all the old artifacts. One of the neat things about the courthouse here is, unlike a lot of the other places around Tombstone, they have given history. However, everything that they have here has documentation associated with it, and they take pride in that. This is a little tribute to Ed Shefflin. He's the founder. He's the one that found the original silver ore and made the first claims. And when he was going out to the desert looking for silver or his claims, people made fun of him. They'd said, the only thing you're going to find out there is your tombstone, Ed. So to spite them, when he found his wealth, he called the claim Tombstone. The town was then later named Tombstone. Like, they used to give out invitations for hangings. So this is a blow up of the original invite. July 23rd of 1900. And out here is where they used to perform hangings. And they have the Gallows. Wow. So they have reproduced this. This isn't original from what I know. From being here before, I think they had the gallows back in this corner. And I had a guy here tell us this. That's why you see these holes in the bricks. It's where the wood planks would be. And so people over the wall could witness as well. And it looks like a really old building, doesn't it? Pretty amazing. But right here, where I'm standing, was the original gallows where people were hanged or hung. This is the upper room of the courthouse, and really high ceilings. Pretty cool to see the history from 1882. And this is the front area, has these huge windows. If you look all the way back down through there, you can see where the judge would sit, and that's the courtroom. They have a history of the different saddles and the years that they were used and what they looked like. There's an 1880, 1930, 1900, 1910. But it's kind of interesting to see how those saddles have changed and the gear that they used. Another interesting part over here is, never knew this, but you could probably date when barbed wire was made, or who made it and what year it was, by analyzing it. So this style here from 1876, and they would measure how close they were, how far apart. And so if you find old barbed wire out in the desert, you can date it. So this is the courthouse. This is where they would hold court. I bet it would get hot in here. I bet this would be pretty hot. You know, I overheard somebody saying that in general, Tombstone is probably 20 degrees cooler than it is in other parts of the valley in Arizona where we're from. And in the winter time, they'd also get snow here, which is pretty interesting. They were saying that even in the late October, after the gunfight at the OK Corral, there was snow flurries reported in the newspaper. And just interesting that they can have that diverse weather here. So this is photos of the Cochise County Sheriffs. They were elected for 2-year terms, and John Behan is the one that was noted here in Tombstone during the heyday, and he was also known as the sheriff that didn't like to get involved. So we're here at the famous Boot Hill Cemetery that's part of Tombstone. It looks like it was used from up until about 1884 or 85. And as you can see, they've got a lot of grave markers. I think they've done their best to locate what they can. Some of it might be their best guess, but they're marked like this: 3-Fingered Jack Dunlap, shot by Jeff Milton. They even say they were murdered or shot by so-and-so. But it's just kind of interesting to see part of the history and how many people were brought here just in those few short years, right? I mean, they said that at times it was like there was a murder a week. Billy Clanton, Tom McCleary, and Frank McCleary were buried here. They're part of the shootout of the OK Corral, and they died together in a matter of moments at the hands of Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp. Looks like I'm seeing a lot of 1882 years here, and there is a lot of them that just say unknown. They just simply don't know who was buried there.
It looks like a lot of them just died from harsh living conditions, either illness or disease or a lot of accidents. And there were some, obviously, who died violent deaths and some who were murdered, but it was rough living out here. That's my take.
Yeah, you know, you're dealing with easy sickness, rough conditions, probably bad food, just all of that leads to rough living.
Thanks for joining us on our trip to Tombstone today. It was a lot of fun. I love being able to see how people lived back in the days of the pioneers. Some were lawless, some were not, but it's all interesting nonetheless.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, just get out there, discover and explore, and thanks for watching.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on our trip to Tucson today.
We went through Tucson, but we went to Tombstone, remember?
We did go to Tombstone.